Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Michelle Fondon. I'm an author and speaker, and welcome to my new video series called The Power to Manifest. Today we're talking about where are the objects of your desires? Where are they? If you're new to my channel, please do subscribe below. Click on that bell, scroll up to all for all notifications, and give the video a thumbs up. So let's just talk about your power to manifest and just finding out where exactly are the objects of your desires. When we do an intentions and desires list and we have great big intentions and even bigger desires, oftentimes we can get discouraged when we don't see our dreams coming into fruition. I'm going to give you a brief example of a conversation that I had with a friend of mine several years ago. So my friend, who was single at the time, was looking for a boyfriend, and after several first dates, she turned to me and said, "There are absolutely no single guys. There are no guys for me. I can't even meet a single guy." And I looked at her a little astonished and said, "Really? There are no single guys? Really? Okay, if you think about the population of the world," this is exactly what I told her. If you think about the population of the world, okay, now we're at around 7 billion. It may be more than that. I don't know. I haven't looked. If it's 7 billion, about 3.5 billion of those people are boys or men. And even if you were to take, okay, half of that, because some of them are babies and children and adolescents, so half of 3.5 billion is still 1.75 billion, and that means that there are 1.75 billion men potentially single. That's a lot of people. Now, my friend lives in the United States, so what if we were just to look at the United States? So I said, okay, there are around 350 million Americans. Half of those are boys. If you even take that in half and go to 175 million Americans and take half of that, because, you know, you've got to account for half of them, or probably less, are going to be under the age of 18. And so even half of that is still around, really, we're nearing close to 100 million. So maybe, okay, let's just say 80 million. With a population of 80 million possible men in the United States alone, does that really mean that there is not someone out there for my friends? You have your pick. 80 million. Now, granted, some of those are going to be married, but even if you whittle it down to, okay, maybe 30% of those men or 40% of those men are married, we're still looking at about 50 million single men out there in the United States alone. So when she told me that, I was just like, you've got to be kidding me, right? You've got to be absolutely kidding me. There are infinite possibilities for you to fulfill your desires, to fulfill your dreams. And the same thing goes when you think about your desires and thinking about the attainment of your desires. If you want more money and you're like, I don't even know how I'm gonna get more money or how more money is gonna come into my life, it seems like an impossibility. Well, it's not that there isn't money in the world. There actually is an abundance of money in the world. The same goes if you are looking for a home, because I've heard people say these things, and maybe you've said these things, where you're looking for a home and you're working with a real estate agent, and maybe you put a bid on a singular home and your bid gets rejected. And maybe you even look at many homes and you put bids on 5, 6, or 7 homes, and all of those bids got rejected. Because you don't see your desires coming into reality, you sit down in exasperation. You're like, oh, there are absolutely no homes out there. False! There are absolutely homes out. Your home is already built. And if it's not built, the piece of land is there and you can build your own home. So do you understand how when you are really manifesting to a larger degree, when you're manifesting something huge, when you're manifesting something big, or even if you're manifesting something small, all you need to do is understand and know that it's already here. Even jobs, like that's another thing I've heard people refer to is saying like there are no jobs out there. You're kidding, right? The jobs that you need, the jobs that you're going to get are out there. It's just you haven't finished looking yet. Your job is actually out there. It's already created. It's already there. Now, mind you, your career may shift over time and maybe the job that you started with isn't available anymore and you have to shift into something different. Now, I'm a YouTuber. Hey, when I was younger, YouTube did not exist. And so if I were to say, I want a job in the media during which I will be able to film every day, sure, at the time, there was either television or movies. There weren't really a whole host of other options, but guess what? Fast forward 20 years forward into the future, and now being a YouTuber is an actual job. I just didn't know it at the time. And actually, I did study broadcast journalism, so that was one thing on my radar. When you really look at it as the object of my desire is already there, it tends to show up quicker. Now let me tell you another story, and I totally forgot about this story just until this instant. It was during a time when I was really studying this principle, your power to manifest, or the power to manifest. I was studying this principle and I was in France at the time, and my father-in-law at the time needed some help with his health. He was very sick. He had a diagnosis of a kidney disease, and my husband at the time asked me, because I knew a lot about health, wellness, and alternative healthcare, he asked me if I could help his father learn more about taking care of himself, learn more about purifying his kidneys and all of that. One of the books that really helped me a lot was Dr. Andrew Weil's book called 8 Weeks to Optimal Health. That book was published in the United States in English, as far as I knew at the time. Not to mention, this was back in 2006. That book, 8 Weeks to Optimal Health, was probably published in the 90s. I was in France. I was thinking about this book and I was saying, you know, I really want to give him a copy of this book. One problem, my father-in-law didn't speak English. He only spoke French. So this had been working on me, and I said, I know there's a possibility. I want to give him this book. I really want to help him. This book really helped me. I know this could help him. The next day, I kid you not, this is 100% a true story. The next day, I was in the grocery store in France, and it was like one of those huge grocery stores, kind of like it would be an equivalent to a large Walmart here, where there's a grocery section and a home section and a clothing section, just lots of sections. But I was walking through this grocery store with my shopping cart, intending just to get groceries. On my left, I saw a bargain bin with paperback books. I don't know why. I didn't intend to buy a book. And I really don't know why I did this, but I looked down at the bargain bin and I began to leaf through it. Now, about 60 seconds later, I stumbled upon 8 Weeks to Optimal Health by Dr. Andrew Weil in French. I kid you not, in a bargain bin in a grocery store. Of course I bought that book. And I gave it to my father-in-law along with a bunch of notes on how he could improve his health. That, my friend, is a prime example of knowing that the object of your desire is already here. You don't need to think or entertain the thought that I can't have the object of my desire because the object of my desire doesn't exist. Well, if you had the desire in the first place, it probably exists somewhere on the planet. Let me give you one more example before we wrap up this video because I think you're starting to get the picture. I will give you the example of quitting a habit. So if you have like a really bad habit and that is one of your desires, is to quit that bad habit, what you need to do is focus on a time in your life when you didn't do the bad habit. And there was that time in your life. You could have been 2 years old or 3 years old, but there was a time in your life when you didn't perform or do that bad habit. And so when I say the object of your desire, it could be a thing or a habit too, which is not really a tangible material item, but the object just means something outside of you. The habit, for example, that you have formed that you're not happy with, it could be drinking too much, smoking too much, it could be overplaying video games or eating too much food, a food addiction. The bad habit that you have, there was a time in your life when you didn't have that bad habit. When I say the object of your desire exists, it means that even though you can't see it right now, look back to a time in your life when the bad habit, as an example, you did not have it. And look to your life then and how you were able to live without doing the bad habit. Even though it may seem impossible, even though it can seem inaccessible for some things, just like that book in French that I happened to manifest just because I had put my focus on it. When I think back at it, it didn't even occur to me to really look up whether or not this book happened to be in French, but I actually found it. I just knew that it was something that I wanted to obtain to help someone else. I knew the book actually did exist. I didn't know it existed in French, but there you go. The universe gave it to me because I really held the belief that it was somewhere on the planet, that it was here already. It's about shifting. As you're starting to notice through these videos, you're noticing without a doubt that this is about shifting your mindset. A lot of manifestation is truly about shifting your mindset from an impossibility mindset to a possibility mindset. Hope this helped you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on that bell for notifications and give the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this video with others who want to learn about the power to manifest. Thank you so much for supporting this YouTube channel. You can buy a book or 2 or 3. The links are below. You can also pledge your support on Patreon, www.patreon.com/Michelle S. Fondin, and I will see you in the next video.